Welcome to the Drive Idaho podcast. I'm your host, Vincent Trimboli. I am the manager for the Idaho Transportation Department's Office of Communication. And as always, now for the 10th time, it is my pleasure to host these podcasts. On today's podcast, we welcome back two guests, Mark Campbell, ITD's project manager for all things Interstate 84, and Neal Murphy, ITD's emergency management planner. Mark will give us an update on I-84 construction and talk about what we can expect when we head into these winter months. And Neal will give us some tips on safe winter driving. Here at ITD, we have an old joke. It goes, there are really only two seasons in Idaho, winter and road construction. And we are, of course, heading into that winter weather season right now. So we're talking today about what happens in the construction zone over the winter and what's ahead in the next several weeks while the weather holds. Backed by popular demand, here's our I-84 construction project manager, Mark Campbell. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Vince. It is an honor and a privilege to be here for the third time.
I think you're getting close to joining Amy Schroeder as the all-time leader in visits to this show.
That is my overall goal.
First of all, Mark, let's talk about some of the big news right now on Interstate 84. The Karcher overpass is open, and I know that is making a lot of people very happy.
It absolutely is, Vince. It is an awesome thing. We actually finished that project a little bit ahead of schedule. In my 11 years at ITD, being a part of projects, this one went very smooth and very quick, and I got to give a shout out to the contractor and the ITD staff that was inspecting and testing this.
Let me clarify. You said a little ahead of schedule, 2 months ahead of schedule. In a 1 year, that's a big deal. That's 2 more months that people don't have to deal with finding that alternate route around that overpass. So I think everybody, including yourself and Amy and everybody, should be proud of that. So also tell us what else is happening right now on Interstate 84 in Nampa.
So what you're going to see is the contractor is still working in the median of the interstate. He is starting to form up the median wall. We're going to have a wall just very similar to what's going on between Nampa and Meridian. The eastbound and westbound is not the same height, so we have to have a wall to kind of separate the two. So he's going to start forming up that wall. He's going to pour the concrete. As soon as that cures, he's going to tear the forms off, and there's our wall. Also, what you're going to see that kind of goes hand in hand with this wall is the contractor's going to start setting up a temporary batch plant right there by Northside.
What is a batch plant?
A batch plant, it is where the contractor can go that is just off-site and mix up his own concrete. That way, he's got very quick access to the project work zone.
Right. And
it's very efficient for him to just have it on the ready and mix it up when he needs it at any time.
Well, and it's more efficient for everybody, right? Those are the little things we do that hopefully make projects go quicker, right? Get things done faster.
Exactly right. Hopefully, Karcher Overpass set the tone. Hopefully, all these projects get finished just a little bit sooner. And this is going to help out with that completely and totally.
So we get a lot of resident questions and comments. And speaking of Northside, we've gotten a lot of those about what's maybe going on there this fall. Several people have commented on a large and steep hole the contractor is digging. What's happening there? People are seeing that and they're wondering what's going on, Mark.
So right now the contractor's out there and he's working on the Northside interchange. And the Northside interchange is completely changing. So he's working on the walls for the interchange. And this wall, he's using soiled nail walls. So this is a nail that's like 25 feet long.
Nerd alert.
This is like a Paul Bunyan nail. It's so big.
Soiled nail wall. So he's going to pound these nails into the slope, and he's going to do it in a grid pattern all the way from the bottom to the top. As soon as those nails are in there, he's going to put on the concrete panel. And he's going to form up the MSE wall, which is the mechanical stabilized earth wall. So that's what's going to happen for the next few months. We are going to have a Facebook Live event that actually shows this up close and personal. We're going to make it cool.
Absolutely.
Pretty sure
that's a
Jake
whole idea.
Melder's going to be behind that production. He usually is. He'll do some cool stuff.
I really hope he is, because that would be awesome.
All right, Mark. Well, it sounds like they're moving right along in Nampa. Now heading west into Caldwell. How soon will we see work starting on the Middleton and Ustick overpasses?
So the Middleton overpass, we have just wrapped up final design, and we hope to get that out for the contractors to bid on early next year. And we expect construction to start on the Middleton overpass first. And we expect contractor to begin early spring for that Middleton overpass. That will take pretty much the majority of the year. Let's say about 9 months, and then that bridge will open up, and then the contractor will move down to the Ustick overpass, and that is scheduled to begin much later in 2020. And as soon as that one starts, again, another 9 months, and then we can open up that overpass. And then he's got just another little bridge that goes over the Notice Canal, and that will take a little bit shorter of a time. It won't take all 9 months, so it'll only take about 5 months. So once that is complete, then you're going to start to see the widening occur in between Franklin Interchange and Karcher Interchange.
Yeah, I don't know if people always put it together, though, that you need to do these structures because you need these wider so you can expand the road between them, right?
That's exactly right. The existing bridges have several piers and columns that come down from the bridge that are supporting the bridge.
Right.
And each one of these columns are pretty much on either side of the roadway right now. So if we want to get any wider,
we got to knock it down.
We got to knock out those piers.
Right. Okay. Well, all right, Mark. Well, thanks for the update. I do want to circle back, though, a little bit about something we said we were going to talk about when we started this segment on what motorists can expect over the winter months in the construction zone. Oftentimes, there are winter shutdowns and roadway construction projects still going on. Is that going to be the case on I-84 in Canyon County? Will we see some work happening? What will be happening in the winter season?
So usually wintertime does take its toll on construction season. However, in this corridor, we are working on bridges and walls and things like that. And a lot of this stuff can be done in the winter. You can pour concrete. You have to take some extra measures to keep it at temperature until it cures. But those are small costs that help accelerate the construction time. So we are going to have crews out there all winter long. They're going to be working on the bridges, the walls, things like that. And how traffic is moving now, how it's set up right now with the barriers and things like that, that's going to continue throughout the wintertime. We don't expect that to change until next year sometime. When
the projects are finished in that section.
As soon as that median section is done, we're going to change up how traffic is moving right now. Okay. We're going to move all the traffic to the inside, and then they'll start working on the outside. That's going to be the first major change.
So in the winter, they're kind of at the mercy of the weather, though, right? So if the weather's good, if it's a mild winter, let's say, is there a chance you could get more work done than you expect? Is it whatever you get done is gravy? How do you look at that from a project manager perspective?
As long as we have the right temperatures, we can pour concrete all day long.
Right.
It all depends on the weather. If we have a mild weather, we can get quite a bit more than we actually figured. If it's a worse weather, I don't even remember quite the year, 2011 or something, we had a crazy cold winter, and we had frost that was 3 feet thick. That's a little bit hard to dig into. So we tend to...
Ground got hard fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So you're at the mercy of the weather, but if you get a mild winter, you may be able to do more. And, if we get a snowmageddon like we did a few years ago, then you're going to be buried doing nothing.
That's right. Let's hope for no snowmageddon this year.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for taking time again today. The third time we've had you back, and we'll hopefully get you to a fourth one here pretty soon. Thanks a lot, man.
You bet. Thank you, Vince.
At ITD, our mission is your safety, your mobility, and your economic opportunity. It is crucial to us that we maintain that mission in the forefront of our work, and safety, of course, is our number one priority. We want to continue to keep Idaho roads safe and efficient for motorists like you. We also want to make sure we maintain the safety for our employees and construction crews as well. I would like to welcome our next guest, Neal Murphy, ITD's Emergency Management Planner. You may remember Neal from a previous episode of Drive Idaho when we talked about the new move-over law and ITD's Incident Response Program. Neal will talk to us today about winter driving and provide us with some helpful tips as we begin to start seeing colder temperatures and snow and ice on the roads. Neal, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Murph, let's switch gears and talk a little bit about winter safety. It's something that's somewhat overlooked at times. We do such a good job maintaining the roads now in the winter that people don't realize that you still need to drive differently and change your mindset when you enter a road that may have snow and ice on it. And what are some tips you have for people, Murph?
Well, the first thing I'd tell people is walk around your vehicle. Most people don't. Make sure you have good tires, you have new windshield wipers, or at least they're functional. Your lights all work. We see a lot of people with the lights out, the turn signal out, a backup light, whatever it is. Walk around, take a look. Second thing is when you go in, you're commuting to work, or you're going on a trip, always check your oil. Make sure you have enough fuel. And make sure you have a couple things in your vehicle that can help you. If you get stalled in traffic or stuck, how long can your car last? Do you need food? Do you have to have medicine? I know that's going way overboard because the commute normally isn't that long, but it's something to think about. But for us, it's the tires and your lighting and then the ability to see outside your window. If your window's fogged up, if it's iced over, that's not a good way to start your commute because now you're limited visibility, which can lead to unsafe practices.
Well, and for many of us, when we do go into those conditions, it's not necessarily a commute, but I'm traveling with my family to the mountains. I'm traveling with my family to another state, but I'm going through mountainous conditions. So make sure that you do make that important check around your vehicle. You need to have all those things in working condition because the last thing you want to do is get stuck on a mountain pass somewhere with a flat tire in the middle of a snowstorm or some sort of a broken headlight or something which, it's detrimental to your drive and can make it very unsafe for you and those you're with.
Correct. And one thing, AAA has great resources that you can look at, but a lot of people never check their spare and make sure it has air in it. Yeah. So they get a flat tire, they put their spare on, it has about 10 pounds of pressure, and they're like, okay, what am I going to do now? So it's always good as you do that walk around, maybe once a week, once a month, air up that tire, make sure it's still good. The other thing is when we come to winter driving conditions, is slow down. I mean, you'll get there 5-10 minutes later, but I'd rather have that than to spin your car out and hit somebody and either hurt yourself, destroy your vehicle. So it's just good to slow down and take the pace what it needs to be. It's not the Indianapolis 500. You're going to get there, don't worry.
Yeah,
and
right.
you want to get there safely.
Yeah, you want to enjoy your drive. You want to get there safely. Sometimes the winter is my favorite time to drive as long as, you're taking your time and you're being careful in your drive. Hey, by the way, nice bonus tip on checking the spare tire. That was pretty good.
That's good. I do that every so often, but that happened to me. I was on the freeway and I blew a tire on my trailer and I put the spare on there. Well, it was a little low. Uh-oh. Luckily, I had an air compressor, but that's not the way you want to find out that it's a little low. Well,
thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate all the advice and the tips and your passion for incident response and safety out on our interstates and highways. All right, it is time now to answer some questions from our listeners. Let's bring back Mark and Murph to answer a couple of those. So common themes and a lot of questions we receive have to do with growth in the Treasure Valley and how that relates to our roadways. So on previous episodes, you've heard us talk about design year and how that relates to planning, design, and construction process. So we had one viewer ask, how does ITD choose a design year? We'll start with Mark Campbell. Mark.
Thank you, Vince. That is a fantastic question. Design year really determines quite a bit as far as a project goes. What we're looking at is when is the construction going to start? When is the project programmed? Usually, let's say if it's programmed in 2020, then we look at about 2 years for construction and then 20 years beyond that. So really 22 years is what we're designing to. So what we do is we get with Compass and other agencies and we kind of run a bunch of models and we try to predict what the traffic volumes are going to be 22 years out from the construction day. So that will help us decide what's next. How many lanes need to accommodate all these cars that are going through there? How big are the shoulders? How wide is the clear zone? Are we going to need guardrail to protect obstacles that are outside of the clear zone, within the clear zone? There's a lot going on with the design year and what it actually determines.
Thanks, Mark. Let's go from Mark to Murph. We're going to go from design year to snowplows. And this question is about snowplows and whether or not you can pass a snowplow. Murph?
Let me tell you that you can pass a snowplow, but it's probably not the wisest thing in the world to do.
Mark would never pass a snowplow.
He would
not at all.
Neither would I. I look at a snowplow kind of as a lead blocker if you're into football, or a pathfinder if you're in the military. They're leading the way, clearing the road just for you. Like any large vehicle, they have blind spots. Normally less than 200 feet behind them to the right or the left, they have a really hard time seeing you. So being in that position is not good. If you try to pass one on the right, that's where we normally put the snow. And that's not a good thing to drive through because then you won't be able to see. The smart answer is do not pass a snowplow unless it's safe to do as they get off the interstate to come back and complete the other side. And if you ever seen them in formation, they look great. They're pushing all the snow.
I mean, that's the safest place to be. I wouldn't really want to get out around them and in front of them because that's where all the snow is. You're right behind them. You're tucked into a real safe place.
Exactly. And the other thing people don't realize is if you get in front of them and something happens to you and you lose control, you have a lot of big equipment coming towards you. And if they're too close, that's why do not pass a snowplow. Follow them in, be safe. Maybe 5-10 minutes late, but it's better than either getting hurt or damaging your vehicle or someone else's vehicle.
All right. Thanks, Murph. We appreciate the tips. And we appreciate the comments and questions from our listeners. If you'd like to submit a question, please visit itdprojects.org/84 corridor and click on podcast survey. That's itdprojects.org/84 corridor and click on podcast survey. Again, thanks both of you guys. We appreciate everything you bring to this podcast from both the design and then from the safety and the incident response perspective.
Thank you, Vince.
Well, thank you for joining us today on the Drive Idaho podcast. To learn more about the Idaho Transportation Department, please visit us anytime from anywhere at itd.idaho.gov, or if you want construction information specifically, go to our projects site at itdprojects.org. Also, join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For the latest road conditions, know before you go by checking 511.idaho.gov. Well, remember, drive well, Idaho. 2 hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, and your mind on driving.